Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Deffinition, and it's time to turn it up to 11 as we head back to the world of Stranger Things. With season 3 now on Netflix, it's time to break down everything that you need to know about the show as well as what happens in its ending. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't had a chance to watch Stranger Things 3 yet and don't want anything ruined, then I highly recommend that you turn off now. With that out of the way, huge thank you for clicking the video. Now let's get into our breakdown of Stranger Things season 3. Stranger Things 3 picks up in 1985, 2 years after the events of Season 2, and centres around our cast of characters prepping for the 4th of July celebrations in Hawkins, Indiana. From the off, it's very clear that though the show is set over 30 years ago, the events that take place in it are a comment on modern society, with Russia trying to bring down America from within by unleashing a monster on the country. In case you hadn't guessed it, this is one big Trump metaphor, and there's a lot of strong double meanings laced throughout that showcase that Season 3 has a far more political side to it than its predecessors. Nancy and Jonathan now work at a local newspaper, and this too becomes a comment on the Me Too movement and the rise of feminism due to the fact that Nancy's ideas are always dismissed and sexism runs rampant throughout the office. She's pretty much just the girl who gets the coffee, and throughout Season 3 she has to battle the close-mindedness of her apparent male superiors in order to unearth the truth of the new inhabitants that seem to be popping up. It's not all bad though, and Mike and Eleven are deep in their relationship, much to Jim Hopper's dismay. He puts up a couple of barriers in the way, and it's kinda hilarious how much he relishes breaking them up, but the rest of the friendship group are already finding partners and growing up as characters, bar Will, who seems to want things to just stay the way they are. He senses that there's something wrong in the area, and as the characters grow, so does the dark presence in the town. This carries over to the entire plot of the season, and this coming of age story really fleshes out the characters far beyond what we've seen so far. It definitely does more work for character building than the prior 2 seasons in my opinion, and for me this was the most relatable I've ever seen the group. However, the shadow in the sky still looms, and no amount of ice cream from Scoops Ahoy is going to stop it. Billy is pulled to the upside down, and during this he comes face to face with a shadow version of himself and returns with a dark side and a need to feed the beast that has begun to inhabit the town. In addition to this, Dustin intercepts a Russian transmission, and with help from Steve and Robin, they discover the truth behind the invasion. All of the plots beautifully interweave with one another, and though each character discovers certain things on their own, it comes together perfectly to create a cohesive narrative that's arguably the tightest in the Netflix show so far. Eventually, the group come face to face with the Mindflayer and dark presence that has been growing in the town. Dr. Alexei reveals that the Russians have been building a doorway between the worlds, and that they need to operate their machine in Hawkins, as the door has already been opened there and is still accessible. Eleven learns through visiting Billy in a vision that there's a source to the entire invasion that is tied to the emotional trauma that he has over his parents' divorce and half-sister Maxine. This leads the group to learn about the steelworks where Billy had been bringing people, but the plan backfires and alerts those infected to Eleven and the others' presence. She discovers that those from the Upside Down have been building everything to take down Eleven and the rest of the world, and are finally ready to attack. Now that the Mindflayer knows exactly where Eleven is, he heads there faster than I clicked on Stranger Things when I saw there were new episodes, and finally we see the big face-off that we've been waiting for. It leads to an awesome last couple of episodes that gave me Resident Evil 2 flashbacks, and my heart was really racing as we got into the finale. At Starcourt Mall, all of the characters join together, and it's at this point that the season really comes into its own, with some of the group facing down against Billy and the Mindflayer. Some head to Dustin's aerial, and others descend into the basement to stop the Russian weapon from going all Chernobyl on the city. In this never-ending story, though, they manage to close the doorway, and the kids show that fireworks against the Mindflayer by using, well, fireworks against the Mindflayer, that doesn't mean it's a happy ending. Billy sacrifices himself, and Jim apparently dies in order to shut down the seal. Season 3 ends with Eleven reading an old letter written by Jim, and she joins Joyce, Will and Jonathan as they move out of Hawkins and go onto a new life. However, it's not over yet, and we then cut to a post-credit scene which takes place in Kamchatka, I think I've pronounced that right, where prisoners are being fed to a returning evil that comes in the form of the Demogorgon. Prison guards linger in front of a door before one of them says, "No, not the American," and then they drag another captive to his death. So to me, there's two big returns here. Not just the Demogorgon, but also Jim Hopper, who I believe was found when the Russians inspected the weapon at the end. Hopper is now being held hostage, and this will be revealed in season 4. Jim will bring the Demogorgon back into the limelight, and the return of Stranger Things will centre around the characters trying to not only rescue him, but also stop the new evil that's rising in Russia. Whether this happens or not we will see, but I definitely think it's the way that season 4 will be heading, with the group getting back together with one another to save Jim. But what did I think of the season as a whole? Well, I don't know if I'm gonna catch some flack for this, but I actually thought that this is the best season so far. It beautifully balances the 80s nostalgia and references that tie into the story in a way that doesn't feel too heavy-handed and far more natural than the prior 2 seasons. The drama is heightened expertly, and the political aspect of the show doesn't feel too forced, and it allows it to be enjoyed on a surface level. Each character really gets a moment to shine here, and it ends with stakes that feel impactful. I loved all of the new characters, and they feel like incredible additions to the narrative that makes the cast some of the best television cohorts we currently have. Overall, season 3 was incredible, and it gets a 9 out of 10. So yeah, great show. Happy Independence Day to all the American viewers. I'm not bitter about it. I'm not bitter about your country leaving the UK, but thanks anyway. Obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Stranger Things Season 3. Did you enjoy it, and what would you like to see in Season 4? Comment below and let me know, and if you enjoyed this video then please like it, and make sure you check out our breakdown of Midsommar, which will be linked at the end. I give my thoughts on the brand new horror movie and discuss all of the symbolism in it, so it's definitely worth checking out if you want to know more about the film. I'll leave that linked at the end, and hopefully I'll see you over there. Cheers. This is a channel for people who are never missing television, so if that's the kind of thing you like, you need to subscribe to Deffinition. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this. You've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.